Welcome back to the Blue Collar Future Podcast. I'm your host, Jaden Robinson, and we have another Q&A episode with our co-host, Jesse Demler.
What's up, man?
The man, the brick man,
Just the brick guy.
the brick guy.
What's up, dude?
Does Slim Brick weld?
No, only bricklayers. Dude,
Yeah.
when I was in eighth grade or ninth grade in my shop class, we made one of our projects for the class was we welded those like Dutch oven hooks, like that you pull the cap off, like little J hooks or whatever they are. And I remember Mr. Stores, like I finished mine and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna pass you so you don't have to do that again, but you should probably stick to brick." And that was back in like eighth grade, bro.
Well, that's a travesty, because what if you would have been good at it? Maybe that was your passion, and he just crushed it. He's like those people that say, "Oh man, you're not good enough to go to college. You should just go do that
Yeah,
construction thing."
yeah. I could have been out on the pipeline.
Yeah, making the big bucks away from home forever. Yeah, I don't know.
Yep.
Well, I
Yep.
don't know about that.
At least I'd have a new platinum and a camper.
That was an interesting thing. I made a post about that this morning, because there's like a big push right now. I mean, social media is a highlight reel, and everybody's always just trying to like show off and impress each other. And I make X amount of dollars. I make more money than you do, and it's
Mm,
just crazy because that's such an empty thing to chase. Like,
yeah.
so I've been reading Seven Habits of Highly Successful People by Stephen Covey. That's a pretty popular book. And on habit 2, it's begin with the end in mind. And
Hmm.
essentially walks you through an exercise of like, imagine you're going to a funeral, so you see all your friends and family, and by the time you get up to the casket, it's you, and you're looking at yourself. This is your funeral. And then it's like, what would you want everybody to say about you? What would you want
Hmm.
everybody to remember you by? And I guarantee nobody is going to say, I want people to remember that I made $300,000 a year. Like, or that I drove this
Yeah.
big old truck and stuff. Like, people base their entire existence off of these things and, like, completely ignore everything else.
Hmm.
We talk about that a lot in the podcast. It's like, you can make all the money you want, but if you're not at home, I mean, it's not worth it. If you're never home and you're not spending time with family and showing up the way you need to be there for your loved ones and stuff, it's empty. And then you're gonna get to the end of your life and everybody's gonna hate you. Your kids will hate you. Your wife, probably not be married by that point, I guess. But it's anyways, it's just crazy. It's crazy to see.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it's social media's a flex, so of course it's gonna happen.
I mean, obviously having a big old platinum F450 would be sick, but yeah, I think
Yeah.
that I think that comes when you are devoted to being who you can be, and showing up in all areas of your life. I mean, all that stuff comes eventually. It's almost out of order to just chase that instead of realizing that some things are more important. So,
Hmm.
anyways.
Yeah. 100%. Well, and if you get to a point like we've talked about where you're just working to afford the toys that you've bought, and so now you've got the golden handcuffs of like, oh, I've all of my bills, I have to go to work. Like
Not a
that's
good
not a
place.
win.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not a flex. It's not a flex and then that's what I think about every time I listen to Dave Ramsey's podcast, because that's probably how the majority of people are. You listen to that and you're like, holy crap, these people have $80,000 worth of car loans and $100,000 in credit cards, but they make $300,000 a year. Like there's people that
Hmm.
are literally handcuffed and they live paycheck to paycheck, but
Yeah.
they make 300. How do you live paycheck to paycheck making 300 grand a year? How?
Yeah,
Explain
it's
it to me.
insane. They just, yeah. Well, I can't remember. I think it was 60 Minutes back when I was a teenager. I remember watching it. They were talking about it was like when the oil field was booming and then like it boomed and then dropped.
Hmm.
But like I remember, I specifically remember the guy going out and interviewing like dudes out in the patch, right? And they're like at their campsite or like whatever. And the dude like it's a couple dudes that are like 22, 23 years old with like what we're describing, the brand new platinum dually, the fifth wheel, like all the stuff. And the guy's like, "That's really cool." He goes, "Yeah, dude, we got all this stuff." He goes, "How much do you have in your check your savings account?" And he's like, "Oh, like $600." And he's like, "What do you make a week?" And he's like, "Probably like 4 or 5 grand, because although." And he's like, "You have $600."
Yeah.
It's insane, bro. Don't, yeah, if you're listening, don't live above your means.
Yeah, yeah. Well, especially just to impress some random people that literally don't care. I mean, nobody wants to be remembered for that. And I know most people are not going to say, oh yeah, I want to be remembered for the fact that, oh yeah, I had all these toys and stuff. So why do you put so much importance on it? I mean, obviously
Yeah.
you want to have fun and have cool things and nice things, but yeah, it comes at some point. Don't be impatient.
Hmm.
So, well, dude, let's get into some questions. Questions. We got a lot of questions this time.
Yeah, let's do some solicited advice, not unsolicited.
Jeez, dude, I got that, dude. I got that in the mail just barely. I put it up.
Yeah.
I did. Yep, it's freaking awesome. I had a dream the other day. This is a side note. This is how much I hate solicitors right now. I had a dream the other day that a solicitor came to my house and I was like, "Can you not read? How many signs does it take to get your attention?" And then I was like, "Get the f off my porch!" And then they started getting mad at me, and I'm like, Get off my property! I'm gonna beat your ass!" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I'm so
Were
sick of
you
it."
like
God,
60 years old and cranky?
oh, dude, it sucks, and they've ruined it for people because they freaking ring your doorbell at 7 o'clock at night while they are ignoring your no soliciting signs. It is the worst. I literally no longer have respect for door to door salesmen. It's gone. I'm done.
Didn't you say someone walked into your garage the other day?
Yeah, but that was in the middle of the day, and I saw them go to my door on the camera, looked right at my doormat. They stared at it for a few seconds, rang the doorbell again. I wasn't even home. And then by the time I got home and whatever, I was in the garage and they had made their way around the neighborhood and were coming back around. And they came right into my garage, like halfway into my garage to talk to me. And I was like, I have a no soliciting sign. And they're like, "Sorry, dude, I didn't notice. But while I'm here, let me tell you about our company. We're new." And blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, stop. Just stop. I'm so sick of it. Done. And it is what it is. Like they're out there trying to make some money. I did understand the hustle at first. The grind that they're out there just trying to make some
Hmm.
money.
Yeah.
Except until every single one of them just completely ignores the no soliciting signs. So now I'm like, okay, these guys are freaking dead to me. I don't even give a crap anymore. So I'm done. I'm done. That's my rant on door to door salesmen. I do not like them anymore. There's too many of them that are freaking assholes. So again, I will say again, just to reiterate, it annoys me that they come in the evening when everybody's like winding down and in a neighborhood where there's a bunch of young families with kids and freaking ring the doorbell and I got a dog that barks and if we're trying to get the baby down, like, dude, man,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous. So on that note,
Yeah, let's get into it.
yeah, we let's get into it. So we got a question from Liv Osborne. So, best advice for someone wanting to get into or wanting to work in the blue collar field. We
Okay.
always are answering
Well, that's
this
good.
in
Yeah.
like masonry, concrete, I guess,
Mm.
specific. But I mean, I don't know. What do you think the best thing is for people just getting into it? One piece of advice, we'll say.
Yeah, one piece, I mean, social media will show you everything you want to see now, as far as like if something piques your interest. So, what I would do is maybe figure out what trade I was most interested in, and then go visit your local companies, or at least look up what the best local companies are, or maybe you have a union hall, or you have a trade school. Something you can go like kind of get your feet wet with it and go check it out, like at least talk to them and see if that really does interest you, and then do the proper thing, whether it's to pursue an apprenticeship or to apply to the job, and maybe to go do it in person, because that's our industry is still kind of old school in the sense of like it's all handshakes and whatnot. A lot of those old guys that are still running the businesses probably want to see you more than they want to see your resume in an email,
Mm-hmm.
and like obviously still send it in an email, but like go like actually meet them, be like, hey, I'm so and so and I applied, because like that's going to mean a lot to those old dudes that are in that mindset that are running these companies, or whoever's out there. Yeah, that's what I would do. I would figure out what made me the most curious, and then kind of keep going down that rabbit hole, and pursue it into your real life, and go visit those companies and see maybe what's into it, and then if you do get into the trade or whatever it is and try it out, and like if it's not for you, don't be afraid to go try something else either.
Yeah. So I was on a podcast the other day that will release the day after this one is going to release, and we talked about actually professionalism and how
Hmm.
I like how you mentioned that the trades are kind of old school right now because in some sense that we kind of lack a little bit of professionalism compared to how the rest of the world operates, I guess, because we don't really have people usually don't go meet in like a office building and sit down and have an interview like that. I mean, like you say, you're going on a job site and meeting with them and talking to them and all of that. I almost wonder about that. Like if that's good or bad that we don't have this sense of professionalism, right? That this outward perception. So
Hmm.
the guy's podcast I was on said that he prides himself in like whenever he interviews people, he actually brings them into an office and he kind of has this actual interview process and kind of goes through the whole thing. So it's not like just some Joe Blow meeting on a tailgate in some
Yeah.
at some person's house, some random client's house or something. That's a little bit of a
You got a
side note,
pulse?
but yeah, it's like a little bit of a side note, but like we kind of lack a little bit of professionalism in that sense. I mean, I don't know if that's good or bad. Maybe that's a good thing, but
Yeah.
people want right now for you to be out there, meet them on the job, and almost really just like most places will just take new people without much of an interview. So
100%.
yeah, it's like, do you have a pulse? Can you show
Yeah.
up? Do you have a car?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think maybe less of the word professionalism, maybe like corporate,
Yeah, I'd say
because like we don't
corporate.
have.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's why I was a little hesitant to use that word because I wasn't sure if it was the right word because I'm not
Yeah.
sure that that really applies to the trades. But we were talking about that in the sense that all these other jobs that you have like these traditional interview processes and these big long like anyways
Hmm.
expenditures, and we don't. It's like you literally show up on the job almost, and your interview is like a day of work or something almost.
Yeah, yeah, it's like your interview is more like the first 2 weeks of like, okay, go like figure it out, like see if you fit
Yeah.
in, or it's nice to know if you have some experience, but you're gonna kind of get in there and prove it, and then yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So like my advice is the same thing. I mean, look around and go after what you're most interested in. Is what I would say. And then if you get through a few weeks of really giving it a shot, and you just don't feel right about it, don't feel bad about going to try something else or feel like you need to stick it out there longer. I I kind of feel like some people quit too early sometimes.
Hmm.
So that there is a
Yeah.
fine
Yeah.
line there. There's a fine line where like people think that it's not. I don't know. People get impatient, I think, and feel like
Yeah.
opportunity isn't going to come, so they quit prematurely. But yeah,
Yeah.
if you aren't sure, or if you get through it and you don't feel like it's the right fit, yeah, go try something else. And don't be nervous about being on the job. I mean, the whole thing about working in the trades that's cool is you get to be essentially trained while you're working. So
Mm.
don't be like worried that people will think you're dumb because you don't know something. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You're there to learn. So
Hmm.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. As long as you show up and like show the attitude that you're there to be a part of it, like most of the dudes are cool.
yeah,
You know, it's
yeah,
like if you're there and curious and asking the questions and doing the work with them, they're not going to really be a dickhead.
yeah. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty good. I think we'll move on to the next one, and we're gonna skip a question and go to one that actually kind of ties into this. So if you happen to
Hmm.
get into a job and the people are a bunch of assholes, then you should probably just leave. So you're not even in this position. So this question was from would you Shanna?
Shanna. Shanna.
How do we get past the culture of initiations or people having to prove themselves for new apprentices? And goes on to lay out this like pretty horrendous story, honestly, um,
Hmm.
of a few weeks of one of their family members working for a few weeks and people just making their life miserable and then getting fired because it quote unquote wasn't working out.
Yeah. Yeah. I think. I think a lot of that is dying with the dudes that are leaving the trade. I think a lot of people are recognizing that that culture needs to go. I grew up in this and I've been around long enough, and I'm sure you have too, that like I've seen it. Like, hey, they're gonna ride your ass, and like that's just how they all were back in the days. Like they were gonna, like I said, ride your ass. They're gonna tease you. They're gonna give you shit, and like just to like, because to them it's like they're proving that you're one of them, or like they're trying to break a horse, which is stupid, you know. And it's just this asshole culture that's become a stereotype or a negative stigma in our industry. And luckily it's on its way out, because I think as like our generation comes in and the generation under us and a lot more of that stuff, it's like, hey, like I guess I think about how that made me feel, and I didn't enjoy that. Like it didn't make me want to work any harder, so why would I treat someone like that versus how they were like, well, that's how it was when I came in. They were dicks to me, you know. But yeah, to get rid of that, like it's, I don't know, it's almost like they treat it like it's a fraternity, right? Of
Mm.
like if you can get through it, you're one of us. But I think it's just a cultural shift as we go on, and the more that people that are aware of how that's not going to motivate a crew or motivate a person to learn the trades or learn anything, the more of those people that we get in power or like in a management position, I think the more it'll go away. Because yeah, it's like masonry especially. It's like they're all a bunch of hard asses that are older than me. But then like as the foreman, I try to like answer the questions and walk them through stuff and give them a chance and like, hey, check on them and stuff like that, rather than just trying to beat them down. And like I said, it's like they're breaking a horse, which is idiotic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Shannon had said it was like the kid worked with the boss. It was great. He had a great time. He learned a bunch of stuff from the boss, and then he gets out in the field and he's working with the boss's son and his best friend, and all they do is just like dog on him and make him feel like shit and all this stuff. And then, they keep it up, and that's what led to the poor kid getting fired or like getting let go because someone else, yeah, what it was. But I think a lot of the problem too is like for instance, that kid goes out, works with the boss, has a great time, learns a lot, probably like the boss probably said some good things about him, and then those people that are still in that dumb mentality are like, "Oh, he's a threat. We gotta eliminate the threat." Versus like, if the kid had just shown up and not really done anything, they probably wouldn't have even thought anything of him.
Hmm.
And that's another stupid thing of like these kids, not dudes, or people that are coming in the trade. If they work well and they're good and they're curious and whatever, they're not trying to take your job away from you. They're trying to learn so that they can get better. So like they're not like there's no opportunity that you're going to lose by training the new kid or like keeping him around because he's good, right? It's an idiotic mentality that needs to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I read through that and I was like, I've never seen that. I don't doubt that it happens, but that is literally one of the dumbest things I've heard of. I mean, it is just
Hmm.
it's stupid, and it's part of the reason why people don't want to come into the trades. I mean, you get people like that have bad experiences, and it ruins it for them. It ruins it, and this is where I would say we have a bit of an issue with that. That would be a case where we have a bit of an issue with professionalism. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
that is literally ridiculously unprofessional, and there's a lot of companies that are very very unprofessional. And if you think about the nature of construction, it's how it is, to some extent. And we don't want to get. That's the cool thing about being in construction is I don't want to say that people are lax, but there's more leeway to kind of poke fun at each other, and it builds camaraderie that way. But then it gets out of hand like this and just makes people miserable. Makes people absolutely miserable. I think
I
in
think.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, in the sense of if you're one of us and you're in the trades and stuff like that, how do I know if I'm gonna offend the new kid or not? I'm like, it's all whether you're punching down or you're, face to face. Like that's all it takes. Is if you're being a dickhead and putting them down and you can tell that they feel bad, just
Uh-huh.
stop. Like, but if it's like, hey, we're poking fun, like, just as if, you do with one of your boys or in the group chat, whatever. And yeah, we don't have HR, we don't have that stuff. So it's not like someone's out there telling you, like, hey, don't fucking do that. But it's also an industry where I can say, I can speak how I just spoke without getting in trouble. And then if I have to say some stuff, and it's like you can do that, and then you can still go get lunch together. It's not
Yeah.
some big
Yeah.
deal around here. But it is, yeah. I think people just need to be more aware of how they like how things are received,
Yeah.
and not so much of like, hey, don't offend the new guy, but like just don't be a dick. Like it's not
Hmm.
that hard to like those two things are not like mutually inclusive. Like not being a dick doesn't mean he's a soft, whatever. It's those things are not inclusive. It's just, hey, don't be a dickhead. Like be aware of
Yeah.
how you treat people and how it makes you feel when someone's a dickhead to you.
Yeah. Like a lot of these questions and the way we're going to be answering them is like crazy because I feel like this happens a lot, but I feel like when it goes through seasons where like I'll see things and I will have been learning things that pertain to those, for instance, these questions or like things I'll see online where I will have heard cool pieces of information or advice that directly correlates with these things. And I don't know if it's just me paying attention to them because I just learned about them or what.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. So I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and I've heard of a couple quotes, and honestly I don't remember if they're the same person or different people. Um, one of them was very very focused on culture, and I want to say it was either Jimmy John, literally the guy that started Jimmy John's sandwiches, or John Maxwell. I listened to a couple of different podcasts. They were talking about culture and how to create a good company culture. And one of the quotes was literally like, "You're only great if you're great today. Yesterday's gone." So even if you
Mm.
are putting in that work, you have a history of great culture in your company, that doesn't matter today. Today, if you've got crap culture and you got a bunch of people that aren't in line and are doing things like that, like putting people down to the point that they just have a bad experience and then firing them. You're not great anymore. You could have 70 years of
Mm.
good culture. Doesn't matter. That's
Hmm.
that's in the past. Right now is the time to deal with it. And we have, I think, as an industry as a whole, a problem with company culture.
Hmm.
And this is like a few reasons that come to mind that could be the possible case here. A lot of people that are in the trades feel like that they are here because they didn't have another option, right? They
Hmm.
feel like they're working in here because they couldn't go to school, because they weren't smart enough or whatever, or it wasn't for them. And we've got like this idea that working in the trades is lesser than, and people are, you're dirty, uneducated, all that stuff. So you have like this whole idea that you're like, you're just not as good as other people. And I think this pertains to that, and it drives this culture in the trades of just like a bunch of rough and tumble, low IQ, like just people that aren't smart, if that makes sense. And I think that kind of pushes this down the line and makes it worse. And then you also have to think about the type of people that we're getting in the trades because of this stigma that's been pushing. Like people don't want to join the trades because they think it's a bunch of people that couldn't do anything else. And all we're
Hmm.
getting in the trades is people like literally people that aren't very smart and couldn't do anything else. And then you've got interspersed in between like a bunch of awesome people that are working in the trades and a bunch of people that are just like very very low level, because we're pushing all of the good people away with this type of stuff. And it's hard, like it in order to get rid of this, like we have to start actively working on this idea of culture and what it
Hmm.
means to have a good culture, and really pushing that from, you know, every individual that's going to listen to this, people that we reach on social media, trying to work on that to influence everybody else in the industry, because it's going to take everybody working together to try to turn this around. And I think there's a lot of great companies out there, but I also think there's a lot of really crappy companies. And I mean, honestly, the only way to stop to not be in this situation is to try and like really pay attention when you go work somewhere. And if they have a crappy culture like this, to just get out of there. And if you're in a
Yeah.
place like that, you probably need to go find somewhere else to work, because that's not.
Yeah. I mean, these companies don't last. Like, if they didn't have employees, they wouldn't last. So, like, don't. you know, don't feel like you can't go somewhere, because I guarantee someone knows someone that works at a good company that's in your trade. And it's like, hey, over here, like this is what we got going on, and you could make a lateral move,
Yeah. And if you're in a position like a management position or a leadership position or whatever, one important thing, and I made a video about this the other day too, is to not forget what it's like to be a laborer. Because
hmm
literally all it takes is you being in this situation when you were a laborer and realizing you didn't like that and being like, yeah, I probably shouldn't do that to the newer kids that are here. So maybe don't do these stupid initiation things and put all these guys down because you remember what that was like and remember that it doesn't feel good. And
hmm
instead of saying, oh, well, that happened to me, so I got to do it to these guys too. Yeah. It's like, don't forget what that was like.
Yeah, be the journeyman you needed when you were younger.
Yeah, I mean, and it's hard to remember that. I mean, you get so far into working in the trades, it's really hard to remember what it was like. I mean, for me, I remember what it was like, but also it's so ingrained in me right now. I mean, even just basic things like running your hand tools over the concrete. I
hmm
mean, to me, I don't remember what that was like to not know how to do that. I remember
hmm
frustration, I remember some things like that, but it's been so long ago that it's hard, and you get completely removed from that situation. But if you try to remember what you felt like and how that was, you can make better decisions as a leader and in a management position to help these younger kids out. They're the anybody that's starting out in the trade. Yeah, yeah. Let's move on to this next question. What makes kids these days excited about the trades? And this is from Warfield Masonry.
Yeah, Ben
Ben.
Morfield. Good,
Ben.
good dude. And honestly, he'd be great to have if we brought him
Yeah.
just to talk about this himself, because he's awesome. Like I said, we were talking about this beforehand. Ben will go to like elementaries and preschools with like the paper plate and the little play mortar and bricks and get the kids to play with them. Or he does a lot of community outreach and like does his part to further our trade, and it's really cool. So in the future, he might need to come on this podcast and have this discussion with him. I think it's like we were talking earlier. I think social media does a good job of getting kids excited about it. As far as getting like the idea, right? Because then it's in front of them, they can kind of explore it. But as far as getting like construction to really get its like hooks in you, I think it's the younger generations. It doesn't seem like they're so much motivated by like the grind and like all this sort of stuff. It's giving them something to be passionate about, which is, we all get it because we drive around and do the thing of like, hey, I worked on that, or like I worked on that, and me and the boys went through it over there and stuff like that.
Hmm.
I think that means a lot to our generation and younger than us, is to be a part of something that's a lot bigger than what we are. And I think that's a really good selling point for our industry, is like, hey, you're building stuff that's going to be around forever. And, you get to do it with your hands, and it's going to be there, and it's something like it's the life you can hang your hat on. I think that's important too.
Yeah. I mean, social media specifically, I mean, people being excited about what they do,
hmm
that is huge on social media because again, we have this idea that working in construction is just if you couldn't do something else, it's something to fall back on. It's not like an actual career option. Is what a lot of people
hmm
think it is. So showing people what you do, if you're listening to this and you post on social media, you're helping the cause to help get kids excited. And I think it's been working really well because of this. I think people are seeing people working in the trades and they're seeing like, oh man, these guys are excited about what they do. They wake up and they go to work and they're running machinery and they're building things and creating things, and all the memes that
hmm
are people like that you make that are poking fun at different aspects of being in construction. People are starting to realize this can be for me too. It's not just for, dropouts essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think, yeah, that big of like realizing that you're part of something that's much bigger than you, and that there's a camaraderie here and like all that sort of stuff within that. I think that's our selling point.
Yeah, well, and maybe people like I think social media in general is just the biggest thing that is getting kids excited. But when people are out there showing what they do, why they do it, how much money they make, because that's also something that can get kids excited.
hmm
showing that it's a viable life. I mean, I think that, like what kind of both of us do, that kind of take care of yourself type stuff, showing kids they can take care of themselves still, and they can be like, they're out in the sun all the time, they can still be healthy. It's not just going to break them down.
Yeah.
All of this stuff is contributing to this kids getting excited type
Yeah.
idea.
And I mean, yeah, because even as someone who's in the industry, like, I see the stuff that Ben does, and that gets me stoked. Like from the aspect of like he's doing his part to, keep our trade alive. To you go to the other end of the spectrum of like, you have what was it, Charlie Gee. He's a stonemason in the UK that does like he's fixing all the cathedrals and stuff, and he does like
Yeah.
the carving and all that stuff. But he's
Yeah,
like,
I've seen his videos. They're crazy.
yeah. Yeah, he's like 23 years old or something, but he's
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
all that stuff. Like, talk about, one, having a passion for something, and two, being part of something that's way bigger than you. He's working on buildings that have been around forever and they're going to be around forever, and he gets to put his piece in there too. Like, that's so cool. And like, I think that means way more to us and the generation younger than us than like the whole money and whatever that like the old heads were in it for, or like it's just work.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, exactly. I mean, you're building things that'll be around forever, and like you said, you'll drive around and be like, oh, I worked on that, I worked on this, and it's something that you can be proud of and be passionate about, like what you're doing and creating things every day, because it's
Mhm.
still super cool for me to go and like build our forms for stairs and stuff, and then go through the process of the pouring of the stairs and the finishing of the stairs. I mean, it feels like an art still, and it feels like
Mhm.
something that I can improve on every time. It feels like I have measurable goals that I can set for myself and get better at them. And like that in itself breeds the passion for it, when you can
Yeah.
when you measurable progress and you can get better at these things. Yeah, I mean, that in itself is something to be passionate about. So I think
Yeah.
it's,
I yeah.
yeah.
I
Anyway.
do like that about construction of like the progress is very measurable
Yeah, yeah.
versus like, other jobs where it's, you go through it, but I can tell day by day or brick by brick or whatever it may be if I'm getting better or not. And so that's cool because you can like, oh, I want to be able to do this, and you can work toward it, and you can tell, like, you can very easily measure the progress of it. Like it's you were creating it.
Yeah. Well, and also too, I think being able to work in a place where you can see a measurable progression in what you do is cool,
Mhm.
because if you're in a good company, you can see maybe not the steps written out, but you can see, okay, I can start here as a laborer. And let's say for your
Mhm.
company, for example, I mean, or in a big masonry company, you could see, okay, I'm going to go to a hot tender. I'm going to jump up to a mason. I'm going to be able to become a foreman. And then maybe
Mhm.
someday I can like just literally do sales, or I can do like business admin end of it. After all of these years of
Mhm.
experience, there was not too long ago, there was the I think the CEO of Lifetime. This is kind of off
Mhm.
topic. The CEO of Lifetime just got in a horrible accident, and most of his family had passed away in that. But I
Mhm.
bring that up because he started off at that company as a welder and moved all the way up to the CEO of that company that like makes all these products that go all over the world. Like that can happen more, like that happens more often than people think, where you literally start at the bottom and you can move all the way through it as someone with a physical skill like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, a lot of things, if you're a young kid thinking about it too, of like, okay, I want to do this, but like my family's not in it. I mean, there's a lot of these companies that don't have someone to take them over when the key guy's gone either. So it's if you were to get in and, climb that ladder, that measurable ladder, you could very easily put yourself in a position to have a company that's been established and that you've been a part of, and like you could be that guy that takes that company over for them because they don't have someone in their lineage to take it over.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's cool. That's all that all encompassing is getting kids excited these days.
Hmm.
I mean, you'd have to go talk to some younger kids to see their opinions specifically, but we're seeing a bunch of people nowadays that are starting off into the trades younger and not planning on going to college. Like they're literally saying, "I'm going to go work in the trades as a career." I think that's happening more and more often, and it's good because we need that because we got a lot of old heads that are getting
Hmm.
retirement age. So yeah, not only are kids getting more excited, we need to kind of do all of these things to kind of keep the excitement going in the trades, and then also to show kids that they're not going anywhere. These types of physical skills aren't gonna just disappear. The AI is not coming for you. So
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. And I think a lot of us could be a lot better about doing stuff like Ben does and getting into the community and showing
Yep.
kids what we do and letting them get their hands-on experience with it. So,
Yeah, sounds like you need to get your studio deal set up so you can start doing some bricklaying videos in there.
yeah, dude, I need to like some tutorials and stuff. And then like, I mean, it'd be cool one day to maybe get it to where like if someone was curious and wanted to come like learn some things and doing that, like that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Or
you
like
could
we
set up
the blue collar
workshops
career
there.
day. Yeah,
Yeah,
workshops. That's
you
the word I
could.
need.
Yeah, you could do like monthly workshops there or something. Maybe not monthly, maybe quarterly or something. Have like some
Yeah,
for younger kids that maybe want to try out bricklaying or something. Yeah, that'd be cool. Doesn't
yeah, yeah. That'd be sweet.
crap, I'm spacing her name and Instagram handle. What's the girl in Texas that teaches kids how to lay bricks?
Yeah, Ashton, that masonry girl.
Yes, yes,
That's
yes.
Ashton Way. Yeah, Fairchild.
Yeah, she does a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, she's all like the
Yeah.
gosh, what does she work? She works for like the Texas Institute of Masonry, and they do a really good job of like she goes all over the place, doing these masonry classes and the Skills USA stuff and all that sort of stuff. Like she's awesome for that sort of thing, and that would be cool to
Yeah.
like implement something that she does, like take advice from her and kind of take her lead and get it over here. Because even if it was like you're doing a little studio or something like that, and then get in with like Bridgeland, like the applied technical school over here, and like, hey, this is what I want to do. Like, I kind of want to, like I've talked about that blue collar career day, and maybe get everybody kind of their hands dirty if they want to, and or do a quarterly class or like you said, a workshop or things like that. Because like, I mean, you can go to there's a couple like cooking places here that you can go do a workshop every month. They do like a different food or
Yeah.
something, and you could go sign up for it. So,
Oh
what
yeah.
would be the difference, of like, hey, we're doing this month. Do you want to come? Or like, we're doing brick, we're doing block, we're doing stone, we're finishing
Yeah.
concrete. Like, just those sort of things that people could go like visit it if they wanted to, and help get people get interested in it. Maybe it turns into a way of like, hey, if you've done all these things, you can take that with you, and when you apply to a job, if you're interested in being blue collar, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what a cool way too to get to have these cool experiences of leading and guiding these younger kids, but also like a way to help find potential people to work for you too. I mean, if you go do all this
Yeah.
stuff and you're literally just teaching people how to do it, like, yep, go ahead, get out there, get after it. And they're like, well, I want to work.
Mhm.
You guys got any job openings? Like that type of stuff happens too. So you guys are listening to this. I mean, that's a great option for business owners to try and uh, help give back to the community and also find great young people to come and work for them.
Yeah, you create your own pipeline
Yeah,
there.
awesome. All right, let's move on to this next one. This is from a third gen Mason. Do you think the artisan aspect of masonry is coming back?
No.
This is Yeah, no. That's
I
the
mean,
short
I
answer.
wish it was, and we've been like the fire station we did had way more detail than anything else I've done for a long time. Or like the Institute
Hmm.
of Religion building is like they're impressive, but I think the world itself is so worried about profits and schedules that it's impossible. Like there's no way that you could take a cathedral and work on it for 10 years and do all the hand carving stuff like that they did back in the day, because someone would be worried about the fact that they need their money today because the schedule says you're supposed to be done in 4 weeks and we need you done in three because that gets us more money. It's just the industry and the world is pushed so hard into that it screws us all up. Like, so unless someone with the money is gonna show me like, hey, I'm gonna pay you to take it the time that you need to create something beautiful, It's just they're worried about getting the units in the wall and making sure their profit revenue is high enough that someone is happy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is coming after we mentioned that person that's working on the cathedrals, that stonemason that's 23. That like I've seen his videos going around. I think that type of stuff is really cool, but I don't really think that that's gonna come back in any sort of like big scale. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe there's random projects that people have that you can go do, and so it'd be cool to learn that. But I mean, another thing is do you not think that there's a lot of people that don't really know how to do that anymore too? Because that's some
Yeah.
pretty, a lot of the stuff's pretty intricate, like, yeah, work
Yeah.
that people just
Yeah,
don't
like
do.
yeah, and Charlie's like he's a real mason. Like that's where our term comes from, right? Of a stone mason that knows how to dress and carve and
Uh huh.
all that stuff with the stone. And he's not getting paid by the hour. He's probably getting paid by the piece. And it's that's more of like we'll think about it like art, right?
Uh huh.
Because no one's asking you to paint a painting by the hour. They're
Yeah.
asking you to create something, and then its value is derived from how much effort and how beautiful it was.
Uh huh.
So he's probably doing the same. I can only imagine he's doing the same thing. And so there is a maybe an aspect for that of like if you wanted to try to sell it that way, but as far as like commercial buildings or someone's house or something else, like I just don't see it being a thing
Hmm.
because everyone's so worried about the schedule and the profit.
Yeah. We worked on a house, like a big, huge house over here in North Ogden. They had, it literally looks like the White House. It's kind of crazy. But they had some stone lions shipped in from like out of the country, somewhere in Europe or something like that. I almost wonder if those are
Hmm.
hand carved, and that's about the only scenario where I see stuff like that happening. Because, like big expensive home where they really just don't care about the price and they just want
Hmm.
something. But they had it shipped in from somewhere overseas, presumably because
Yeah.
there's just not anybody here that does it. I don't know.
Yeah. And it's hard. I mean, it's hard to pass down those skills when you're being told it's not useful in the
Uh-huh.
sense of like, there's nowhere to make the proper amount of money to make it worth it here, because
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, nothing here is that old, like over there in the UK where he has access to those buildings that need to be
Yeah.
restored. But I
Yeah.
think there's always room in the world for like some form of creative expression. So like the lions, that got hand carved that are ordered.
Hmm.
And that's art. That's art. That's someone selling their art.
Yep. Yep.
Like that's there. But if you're gonna ask me like, hey, do you ever see us going back to like, gosh, I can't remember what the Art Deco, type buildings that are, you see where it has all the cool
Yeah.
details and all the stuff, like that's out the window because the world's too worried about other things, which sucks because it would be really cool if that's the stuff we got to build.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Part of me would say that would be really cool if it came back, but I just probably not. Have you ever been interested in trying to take up that like old, very uh, like quintessential stone masonry skill? Have you ever been interested in trying to learn how to do all that stuff?
It would be cool in the sense of like maybe going back to the workshop thing.
Yeah.
There's just no like everything here is a veneer. There's no full bed stone. It's not used here. Just so maybe for the area that we're in, it wouldn't make sense, but it would be cool to know just to be like, hey, I can do this.
Hmm.
Yeah. It would be more I guess it would land more in like the hobbyist or like sort of thing around here, or like if I wanted to make my own house out of that, but it's not there's just no demand for it because everything's stick built in a veneer, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I know you guys, or you said that your dad wants to get into a scale of being able to work on LDS temples. You think they probably have a lot of that stuff? I mean, they got a ton of, I imagine they have quite a bit, right?
Yeah. So yeah, like the temple's going to be a lot more like we worked on that ancillary building of the temple up there in Bear Lake, and the temple building itself is all the exterior is all marble that's been shipped in from Italy, but someone else has carved it and done the whole thing, and then those guys are setting it.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
still really cool. That's still really cool to like to know how to set that stuff correctly and build it and have your hands on it. I think that would be really cool. But as far as
Yeah.
like carving out the marble and all that sort of stuff. I think that's still going to be left somewhere else.
Yeah. I think that's about all there is to that. I mean, maybe there's a place in very high end homes and that type of stuff for artisan masonry, and I'm sure that you see some of that. But like we've kind of mentioned, most of it gets shipped in. I don't even think there's hardly anybody here that would do that or knows how. I think
Yeah.
being able to do that's super cool though. So
What
cool.
as far as like concrete goes, is there anything that goes like scratches that itch or like? 'Cause I know you can stamp them and make them look like wood and make them look like certain things, but is there anything like is there a niche in concrete that would allow you to have like that artisanal skill besides, like obviously I think doing good work is artistic. I
Yeah,
guess
yeah. I
I don't
mean,
want I don't want that to be clipped wrong.
yeah. No. So we actually have people like literally look at our basic concrete and say it looks like art because we do that checkerboard broom pattern on all of our driveways. So people are like, "Oh
Yeah,
man, that
yeah.
looks so good." And so like in that aspect, we have a little bit of that, and we have our decorative concrete that's like that we stamp and have our forms to make the face of the concrete kind of look fancy. I see
Mm,
people out there that have their business solely around decorative concrete, and they will do like stamped walls. So they'll pour the wall and leave it really rough, kind of like a scratch coat essentially built into the concrete, and then they
hmm
will put bagged concrete over it, mix it up and put it on the face, and then they'll stamp that. That looks super cool. I would like to do that. I'm not sure that we would ever do that though.
hmm
I want to try it. I almost want to try it at my house, but it just,
Yeah.
yeah. The stuff like that's really cool. And at the World of Concrete, I saw a guy had a booth where he was messing with decorative concrete stuff, and he was like making rocks kind of out of concrete. He was like mixing up the concrete, slapping it on a pile, and like carving out rock looking
Cool. Yeah.
things into it. So yeah, that was crazy. I needed to.
Yeah.
I wished I looked into that a little bit more when I was there
There's that
because
guy
I
on he goes viral on Instagram a lot for like it'll be him like just slapping a big piece up against the wall and then he comes back and carves it and makes it look like this big beautiful thing. Like
yeah, yeah.
I guess yeah, there is some stuff like that and he's like carving out like it makes like he makes a desk that looks like it's one big piece of stone and stuff because he's like shaped it and done the thing. I guess
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense. So
Yeah,
there's stuff like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I've seen you just don't see that very often though. I don't
Mm-hmm.
really think I've seen it here at all. Obviously, we saw it at the World of Concrete just because it was like the place to
Showcase.
have something like that. Yeah, yeah, it was cool to watch cuz the person was there actively doing it in front of everybody. So I watched for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
but I never really looked into like what a company name was or what he was really doing it for, if he was like advertising the product he was using or if it was, I don't really know what was going on there, but it was really cool to watch, that's for sure. So
Yes.
there's a little bit of that artistry aspect, and I think that that is one thing that people are getting passionate about, and what makes people excited is being able to have cool skills like that. So I mean, that's the same thing we were just talking about. But yeah, as far as it almost feels like we're getting farther away from this artisan aspect of any sort of trade,
Mm-hmm.
especially masonry. So it seems like
Yeah.
we're getting farther away rather than closer.
Yeah, and that's yeah, like I said, as long as the world's focused on profits and schedules, it's just going to keep going downhill. But like, I guess there's still a point of like masonry. There's an art to masonry and making sure like all your lines are crisp and all that sort of stuff. But that's about as
Yeah.
far as you're going to get right
Well,
now.
didn't you even at the World of Concrete or at some trade show you went to have like a fake stone that you stapled to the or nailed to the wall
Yeah,
too?
evolved stone. It's yeah, they make a
Yeah.
veneer that's you use with stainless nails instead of a real stone. It's like a composite material.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is that we're just getting farther and farther away from that type of stuff. So there's still need for it, but like people are trying to almost get rid of. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. But there's still a lot of need out there for all of this stuff, and just not really artistry. People want production.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm sure if you got really, really good at it and carved out a niche, I'm sure people would pay you whatever amount of money you wanted to ship your thing in. But yeah,
Well, or you could grow a following on Instagram by doing that cool stuff and literally like
yeah,
just do it for videos and make a bunch of money. You mentioned
yeah.
I think you knew some people that did bathrooms or something that had like a little studio in their house where
Hmm.
they quit doing that for a living and now they just literally like make a bathroom in their little studio for videos and that's what they live off of is money from that. So there's people
Yep.
out there that are doing that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. She purely does like how to's and builds cool stuff, and they film it, and then they tear down the set and do it again. Wild. Wild.
maybe there's your idea. Maybe you can learn how to be a old time stonemason and show how to's in your
Yeah.
studio.
Yeah. There we go.
Well, we hit all those questions. So if you guys in the future want questions answered, we collect them from Instagram. Jesse does a good job about getting a lot of questions from his stories. We also can take them in the channel. You can message either of us if you have a question and there's no prompt up. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And giving questions for us to answer is a good way to help support the podcast. So not only sharing it with a friend if you get something out of it and subscribing to the podcast, but if you give a question when we ask for them, that helps to support us. Like Ben, I'm sure he doesn't need to know what makes kids these days excited about the trades. He probably knows. But that's a good question to ask though. It's a good question for us to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And that stuff goes a long way. So, like, if you got something from this, please share it with someone else or subscribe, that sort of stuff. And if you got questions, ask them because it truly does help us out.
Yeah, as always, appreciate you, Jesse, and we will see you guys on the next one.